And we are live on the we're live on the internet, guys. I almost died there immediately at the start of the stream, but welcome everybody. Super excited to see all you guys here. Sorry about getting the stream off a couple of minutes late. I decided to update my software earlier and I had to go through all the login process again, but here we are. We're here to talk crypto, guys. So very excited to have all of you here in the chat. Of course, we're doing an AMA today, so just bring whatever questions you got for me. We'll go through them. We'll get them answered up for you guys. And we're just going to have a good time in general, hanging out, chatting about cryptocurrencies, because that's what we do here on the Crypto Lark channel. So welcome everybody to the chat. Peter Pan, Jay, Sneakerhead, Phil, Benjamin. How's it going, guys? Rumpelstiltskin, and of course, Crypto Numbnuts, guys. Super excited to see all of you here. Larzy, welcome to the party. Derek, welcome to the party. So we're going to be jumping in, just answering your questions. So bring the questions, guys. I got to tell you, though, if you're bringing up, hey, Lark, what do you think of X random cryptocurrency? Well, I may not always be able to answer those questions for you. It really depends on whether or not I know anything about that cryptocurrency at all. But I will try. Even if I have no opinion, I'll try and tell you at least I have no opinion on that particular cryptocurrency. So we'll jump into that now. The first question here is, what do you think of Stellar Lumens? Well, Stellar Lumens, solid project. I do like it. My only concern that I'm not kind of, throwing a bunch more money into it and getting more into Stellar is that, 80 billion? Is it 80 billion? Is that how much it is? I can't remember the exact number. Here, let's just consult CoinGecko real quick and they'll tell us, I'm sure. So we've got Stellar Lumens. What have we got in terms of outstanding supply on that? Yeah, that's a lot. We got 19 billion out so far. We got another 80 billion or so to go. So that's a lot, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things. So not that it's a massive problem, obviously, as the ecosystem continues to grow, but I would say that's my thing at the moment, is I'm not looking to really throw a whole lot of more money into Stellar Lumens at the moment anyway. But you can definitely get some free Stellar Lumens if you guys go over and look at, for example, Coinbase. I know they're giving away $50 in free Stellar Lumens to people. Now we see, we did have another question up here. Peter Pan, be interested to hear your thoughts on where you expect Bitcoin to go soon. Many channels are expecting 6,000, 6,500, then down to 5,000 before the real bull run starts. Interesting question. Look, I don't have a prediction number for you. I wish I did. Be more exciting, I suppose. Get more views if I threw out prediction numbers all the time, but look, I think 6,000 is going to be a really hard level to get over. Maybe we can shoot up to that and test that upper boundary price-wise, because that's definitely the number to overcome when it comes down to it. If we can overcome $6,000, well, that's massive beyond belief. But staying above 6,000, I think when we do cross 6,000, I think we'll actually start to move ahead and really keep above it. But I think 6,000 is going to be the kind of level where we saw like 4,100 being, where it was just so hard to overcome. We kept trying, but we just couldn't get over that 4,100 until we finally did. Then we had a decisive breakout. We shall see, of course, if we can repeat that. Are we going to break above 6,000 anytime soon? I don't know. I'm suspect, but I certainly think there's a lot of very bullish sentiment right now in the overall market, so I could definitely see us moving in that direction. But how soon that's going to happen, who knows? I mean, I'm, perma bull on Bitcoin when it comes down to it, guys, so I do see us moving in this direction, whether it be in the next couple of days or the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months. This is where the markets are moving. Bitcoin's going to be worth hundreds of thousands in the coming years. It's just a question of when that's going to happen. So there you go. Jay says, we see lots of information, rumors, and praise from high dollar firms around crypto. Do we have any proof that they are actually buying in? Well, that's a really great question, Jay. And no, I haven't seen any definitive proof to say that this particular, look, there were a couple that invested in Morgan Creek, right? So they invested in Morgan Creek, which of course invested in Bitcoin and all these other things. But in terms of, do we know which hedge fund or which pension fund or which large institution specifically is like buying from Fidelity? I don't think we have that information yet about who's buying from Fidelity at the moment, because there's somebody buying from Fidelity without a doubt. So there is that. Who it's going to be, That's a fascinating question. But I think we will see those announcements coming out in time where pension funds and hedge funds and all these different people will come out and say, hey, you know, we've been buying Bitcoin from Fidelity for a while. In terms of who's trading it right now, I mean, it's a lot of the big trading desks are trading the Bitcoin futures contracts, obviously. So there's that. And I know that a lot of banks, like in South Korea, for example, they are holding on to cryptocurrencies. So that's definitely something as well. Slayer fan says, have you checked out the new DEX inside of the Monarch wallet? I have not checked that out yet. I look like a 1970s F1 driver. Fascinating. Fascinating. I'll take it, I guess. Why not? Do you think ADA has a chance at becoming a safe haven that competes with U.S. treasuries? Wow, that's a big ask. I mean, look, there's a couple of things that you need to take into consideration when you think about that. One is U.S. treasuries in themselves. I mean, do you need to be competing with U.S. treasuries? We're creating a new system here. That's part of the thing that we have to think about. We're creating a new financial system, so we don't need to be competing with, you know, U.S. treasury bonds, I assume you're talking about, or was that securities? Because it's a very different thing, of course, whether we're talking about securities or treasury bonds. Yeah, U.S. treasuries. I don't see that even being necessarily the same kind of category of thing. U.S. treasuries are very specific. People will look at those who look at those. I think we're going to see Cardano creating a whole new ecosystem, along with obviously a lot of other different cryptocurrencies. We're creating a new financial system, a whole new ecosystem here that's going to make the old ecosystem look at the same way that we look at a lot of old technology. I mean, when was the last time I went to the post office and sent somebody a letter? That used to be the standard way of doing business. And now nobody ever does it. Well, almost nobody ever does it. Maybe, you know, you send a holiday card to your grandma or something once in a while. Greg asks, what's happening with BACT? What is happening with BACT is that BACT is waiting for the SEC and the CFTC to, well, I think particularly the CFTC when it comes to their futures contracts, but regulations. That's what's happening with BACT right now. BACT is dealing with the regulatory burden of doing business in the United States. This is the reason why a lot of companies avoid doing business in the United States, because it's a pain in the butt. But BACT's bread and butter is the American market. Obviously, the Intercontinental Exchange owns the New York Stock Exchange, so that's pretty big. You know, so BACT's coming. Just matter when. They are going to get that through. It's so funny waiting for things, because you see these things going on, you realize how much work it takes in the background to make these things happen. They have teams, you know, working with these regulatory bodies every day, having these conversations, having these back and forths, having these proofs of how much, you know, they can put out and all these different things. So Peter says, Lark, I just got my free 50 Thunder tokens. Thanks for the tip. Absolutely. So Thunder was a project that came out last year, and like a lot of good projects, like it came out, there was a bit of hype around it. They haven't released their tokens yet. I'm not sure, or if they have or not, but maybe I think they're trading on OTC, but they're not listed on any exchanges yet. Anyway, but really cool project, and they're doing a giveaway right now, so if you go and check my Twitter, you can find out the details about that. So Crypto Messiah says, Lark doesn't accept emails, only BAT donations. BAT donations are always welcome, guys, without a doubt. Nikki Nix, thank you so much for the contribution. Nikki Nix says that Kin is actually being used. There's quite a few different cryptocurrencies that are actually being used, and I must say that I haven't kept up to date with Kin very much recently, but I think any existing platforms like Kin that are bringing in cryptocurrencies to their platform are going to be very, very interesting, something to definitely keep an eye on moving forward. So it's an important one. Any of these big social platforms are important. We can look at Line, right? They're the sort of the crypto arm of Link, which is the biggest messenger platform in Japan. What Kin's doing is big, and all of the others. So Pew Pew Tube. Lark, are you still holding? Absolutely, I'm still holding my ADA. 100%. 100%. I'm holding on to that ADA for a long time. A long time. I've got no intention of selling. In fact, I've just been buying more recently. So there's that. There's that. The ADA's not going anywhere, guys. Satoshi Sean says, do you think Abra will be huge on introducing people to crypto like Robinhood? Yeah. Yes, Satoshi Sean, I do think so, because especially for a US market, because you can send obviously bank account money through and withdraw to your US bank account, and I'm sure that they're going to have more jurisdictions applicable for that in the future. But the important thing is with Abra is that they're bringing in stock trading, so you're going to be able to really actually be able to use, you know, this for buying and trading stocks and then easily convert into Bitcoin. So much like Robinhood, we see that happening over there. Really important thing, except I'm not sure with Robinhood. I mean, I haven't used Robinhood. I'm not based in the US. I don't think they operate in New Zealand. And anyway, only so many apps you can play with at a time. But I think with Robinhood, you can't withdraw the Bitcoin. Is that correct, guys? Anyone who out there who is using Robinhood, let us know down in the chat. But I'm pretty sure with Robinhood, you can't actually take the money, the Bitcoin out. You can only get cash in and out. So, whereas with Abra, of course, you can invest in stocks and then change it over to Bitcoin and get the Bitcoin out. So that's a very important difference, of course. So, thoughts on Elastos? You know, I've actually been researching for an Elastos video, so I'm gonna withhold my thoughts currently on that because I need to go through all the notes that I've made and come back. But I do have an Elastos video coming here for you guys pretty soon. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. Are you still a big Zilliqa fan? Yeah, still holding on to my Zilliqa. Still holding on to my Zilliqa. Still a fan of Zilliqa. You know, I've actually been going through and kind of cutting down on the number of cryptocurrencies. And some of them I've sold at eye-watering losses. But more than anything, what it really came down to for me was I just couldn't keep an eye on them. I'd got myself, you know, overstretched and couldn't keep an eye on all these things. But some things like Zilliqa's still there, Cardano's still there, Elastos is still there. You know, 15 coins or something now on my my portfolio. It's much more manageable, but still kind of crazy. But yeah, you know, it's got to find a position where you can actually manage those. So Zilliqa's still there. I still like Zilliqa, and I still think that Zilliqa can do very interesting things moving forward, assuming, of course, they can get people to build on them, which there's a lot of competition to attract that kind of business. And yeah, people confirming in the chat that indeed Robinhood doesn't allow actual withdrawals of Bitcoin. So there is that. Monkey Magic asks, are you going to the IOHK event in Miami? I'm not going to be going to the IOHK event in Miami. It's too far to fly for a conference, but I will be in Sydney this week. So if anybody wants to come and hang out, that's, you know, come and join the party, guys. Dustin Smith, is ADEX still alive? It's been silent, and you guessed it. I have no idea about ADEX, to be honest. I think I might have opened their webpage once, maybe. What are your thoughts on NEO this year? Well, I think NEO really needs to start getting people building on it, because right now, you think about NEO, there's not a lot of dApps built on it. And hey, look, that's a lot of blockchains, right? But you can look at what, like, Tron and EOS are doing. They're throwing a lot of money at getting people to come and build on their platforms. Whereas we look at NEO and there's just not that many built. I mean, hey, look, the Nash exchange, when that comes out, that's going to be probably the killer application for NEO. Maybe NEO's got a whole bunch of stuff stored up and they're going to surprise all of us. But right now, you know, NEO, they got some work to do. They got some work to do to get more people to build on top of NEO. And there's a lot of competition. This is the thing, is that, yeah, sure, we're going to have this giant rush of STOs and all these different businesses and stuff coming in, but we're going to have leaders get out there. And that's the thing, is that we're going to see blockchains capturing all the business. Look how many smart contract platforms we have right now. There's a lot of them. And not all projects will be built on all blockchains, right? We're going to have interoperability, which is obviously a very important part of the equation, but I think we're really going to see some projects pulling out in front, in the lead. So Steven says, my friend runs a retail website for crypto. Would you be interested in interviewing how his business has done in the bear market? Maybe not, but it's interesting nevertheless to know. You can email me, thecryptolark@gmail.com. I'll have a look at and see if it's an interesting business or not. But maybe not. I don't know. It's definitely interesting talking to people from the retail world about people actually paying in crypto and all this stuff, but I'm going to say probably not, but maybe. You can always email me and I'll have a look at it. Relative Martian. Should I quit my job yet or wait for the market to confirm farther? Don't quit your jobs, guys. Don't quit your jobs. You know, we all need purpose in life. I hope that your job right now that you're doing is your passion, so that, you know, even when you do get crypto crazy rich, you can just relax, continue doing what you do. WTC for life. Thank you very much for the contribution, my friend. Much appreciated as always. Organic FUD says, wouldn't XRP become a globally accepted deflationary currency by default post-mass adoption for remittances Bitcoin 2.0? No, nothing is happening by default. And I'm not trying to throw shade on XRP by saying that, but is there some possibility that we could see something like that happening? Well, maybe. But we shouldn't expect that to happen, that there's no by default of banks and different companies actually rushing in to start using XRP, right? There's a lot of competition in that game. We have Bitcoin, we have Litecoin, we have a whole bunch of other things. We have Stellar Lumens and what they're bringing to the table with their stablecoin project. So I think that, you know, XRP being mass adopted and being some kind of giant thing, that is far from being a given. 110%. So something to think about. Where is the information about the Sydney Hangout? You can find it over on Twitter. Where are we? I'll tell you real quick. Bring it up here if I can find it real quick. See if we can get that up there. Nick, thanks again for the contribution. Keith, thank you for the contribution. Much appreciated as well. You know, actually, I don't know where that is, but you can come over and actually check my most recent video. I've got a link in the most recent video about the Sydney meetup. So it's 6:30 on Friday this week. Dimvog, what's happening with Ethos, Lark? I have no idea what's happening with Ethos. Haven't looked at it in a long time. Sold my Ethos ages ago and honestly haven't kept a close eye on the project since then. Do you know about Dent? I do not know about Dent. Linux Lewis, am I missing out on crypto news and info by not having a Twitter? I don't know. Maybe not. There's some interesting conversations that go on crypto Twitter. But I think that, yeah, there's also a lot of noise going on, a lot of FUD and all that kind of stuff. And if you're just following like Cointelegraph and Coindesk and, you know, the particular projects that you're actually invested in, you know, sign up for whatever they do if they have a Medium account or if you check into their Telegram announcements page or whatever it might be, you're probably going to be pretty okay without crypto Twitter. But at the same time, a lot of interesting chats go on over there too. But it's as much of just people yelling at each other as it is actual interesting information. So there's that. Dustin Smith, VeChain has some of the biggest investors. Do you have VBags stored on the Tesla rockets? A few people asking about VeChain. VeChain is something I've got an active trade going on it. It's been sitting there for a while, waiting for, you know, a moonshot, so to speak. Not necessarily a moonshot, actually. I'm going for about a much more reasonable number than a moonshot. But nevertheless, I'm not holding a big bag of VeChain. And it's actively looking to be sold. So there's that. But I like VeChain. That's why I'm trading it. This is kind of one of my rules. You know, don't trade things you don't like, basically. So, you know, I try not to trade stuff that's total junk or super low liquidity or any of that stuff. And VeChain's got good liquidity. VeChain's a good project, good partners, and all these fun things. So happy to be trading VeChain, but not a long-term holding of mine. Not because I dislike it or anything like that. Just, man, you can only hold so many coins. Straight up, guys. Michael Knight, can you tell us what you do have as you have sold a lot recently? Oh, the portfolio. Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you guys a quick run through here of the, what my portfolio is mainly made up of these days. So I'll do a more in-depth video on this at some point, but nevertheless. SLV Hodl LTC Hodl asks, what is a decent amount of Litecoin and Bitcoin? Thank you very much for the contribution. And honestly, that totally depends on you. Honestly. Because some people are going to think a number is different. For some people, having 10 Litecoin is going to be a decent amount of Litecoin. For some people, having 10,000 Litecoin is going to be a decent amount of Litecoin. It depends on your overall investment portfolio and basically, yeah, what you have invested and what your overall trading strategies, investing strategies, and all these different things. Crypto Messiah asks, Lark, are you a trader or an investor? I am much more of an investor. Now, let me tell you guys what's making up the bulk of the portfolio at the moment. So Bitcoin, Cardano, Ethereum, got a good chunk of Binance coin. I've got some Morpheus Labs tokens, some Tomo chain, some Beam at the moment, but I'm running an active kind of trade on Beam, so it may not be there in the long term, without a doubt. Monero, I picked up a decent bag of Monero recently, and that's kind of going to be a longer term hold of mine, holding on to that Monero. Litecoin as well as, I wish I'd bought more back when I started buying the Litecoin, because I was getting in around $42, $45, something like that, and I got a decent bag, and I was like, nah, I went up to like 55. I was like, oh, wait for it to, just chill out on that right now. And then it didn't chill out. It just kept going. But anyway, I'm happy with the bag of Litecoin that I got. But, as always, wish I'd got a few more. Next, I picked up some Next tokens recently. So I actually changed the majority of my Neo over for Nash. So that's the Next token, right? So that was, I hope that's going to be good in the long term anyway. I mean, short term, that hasn't been supremely awesome, but I think in the long term, holding on to those Next tokens could be really, really big. Obviously, Stellar Lumens, Elastos, Phantom, I'm running a trade on right now, basically, so I'm not envisioning that as something I'm going to be holding in a year, but I do have that rolling around right now. Pivex, Zilliqa, Quantum, Icon, Ergo, Bitmax tokens, still rocking on those. Some Zem, some WAN chain, some Nexus, and some other stuff floating around down the bottom there. Some different ICOs and things that still need to come through. And if in that list I don't have the coin that you're super passionate about, relax. It's okay, guys. It's okay, really. I already feel like that's too much, to be honest, because that was like 2 minutes of me saying the coins that I have. So, yeah, that's, there's that. But definitely a lot of questions about why I don't have your favorite coin in there. And that's basically the answer, guys. There's too many of them. And some coins I don't want to get into. Somebody's saying, no substratum. No, I don't have any substratum. EOS, I don't have any EOS, but it's not that I dislike EOS. Again, I just don't have any. EOS was great to me. Lark, are you investing in Bitcoin Cash? I'm not investing in Bitcoin Cash, and I'm not investing in Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. I don't want to have either of those. That's just me. I'm not saying that that they're not going to do useful things in the future. I mean, BSV, I can't get past Satoshi wannabe man there, Craig Wright. That's just it's a thing for me. I just look at that and I go, no, I can't possibly invest in someone who I personally believe is a fraud. So there's that. And then Bitcoin Cash, yeah, too much drama. I'm chilling on my Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash makes a lot of people a lot of money. I mean, it did really well recently. That's cool. So, but other than that, meh. Anything new with Power Ledger? Power Ledger is one of the ones that I was really, I parted with it, and I was sad to part with it because I really like Power Ledger, but it was just another one of those, like, I got so much stuff in my portfolio, and I got out, and I made a profit on Power Ledger, so I don't regret selling it or anything like that, but just too much to watch out with. But I'm still actually really excited about Power Ledger as a project. I'm still really excited about what they're doing. Just too many coins, guys. Too many coins. It was getting to be too much while trying to keep an eye on all that stuff, so. ONG dividend from Ontology. Yeah, the any of the coins that provide a dividend are pretty good, to be honest. Long term, I mean, whether it be Neo or whether it be Ontology and all these things that kind of get those secondary cryptos coming back for you. So, found me over on Steem. Yeah, I got really lazy posting on Steem for quite a while, but you know, I'm trying to post more over on Steem again recently. Kind of, there was an internet thing for a while, but now I got to get back in the habit of doing that. So I'm gonna try and make sure that I'm posting all the videos over there. CTW changed the world. Please talk about ADA. Let's talk about ADA, guys. No, seriously, I'm a big ADA fan. I mean, they just keep doing great stuff. I know we've done some recent... I did a recent interview with Sebastian from Emergo. We talked about some of the big updates we see coming. But really, I think when it comes down to it, with Cardano, it's going to surprise a lot of people, honestly. This is the reason why I continue to buy Cardano and look at it as a great long-term hold. I think that when it does actually roll out everything that it wants to be, it's going to be a massive player. So definitely a fan of what Cardano is doing. And, you know, I've been a big Cardano fan for a very long time. I think when staking rolls out and all these things, it's going to totally change the market dynamics of Cardano as well, because all of a sudden people are going to want to start getting, you know, their million Cardano so they can run, you know, a staking node and all this stuff. And it's going to be very, very popular. I think as a cryptocurrency, I think we're definitely going to see Cardano remaining a top coin in the years to come as they continue to roll out. And I was actually looking at the coin market cap the other day, and I'm just surprised some things are still on there. You know, I was looking at like Bitcoin Diamond, like who's buying Bitcoin Diamond? Where's this come from? Why is this like number 48? When there's other cryptocurrencies, of course, farther down the list that are much more exciting, much more you know, bigger communities, more technology, all that fun kind of stuff. And then there's that Bitcoin Diamond hanging out there for some reason. Lark, if possible, please have the IOTA team give you their elevator pitch along with the recent use case. Sounds interesting. Well, I would love to, and I've reached out to the IOTA team many, many times, and I've really never got any answer back from them other than like, oh, you want to have an interview with us? Why don't you make a review first, and then we'll consider having an interview with you. And that's funny, because I just made a review about them, and then I posted that, and then they were like, yeah. So I would love to talk to the guys from IOTA, but I've never had any response from them to actually come back and, you know, do an interview. Be great if they did, though. Always welcome on the channel, IOTA guys. If you ever want to come and hang out, let me know. But Lark, are you being paid by Cardano? Kat, I would love to be paid by Cardano. That would be supremely amazing. I'm actually a Cardano ambassador. Doesn't really mean much right now. I'm not getting paid. It's more just like a, you know, little pin you can put on there. Like, I'm a Cardano ambassador. Cool. But no, I'm not getting any money from Cardano. That'd be great. But great. If they ever want to start paying me, that's fantastic. I'll totally take that. But no. There's no payments from Cardano at the moment. Mr. Super Chat. BBR Sales, thank you for Super Chat. Lark, thoughts on Redcoin? Honestly, no thoughts on Redcoin. Haven't looked into it really in any great depth in a very, very long time. I did a review on it, I don't know, like a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, but no current thoughts on Redcoin, to be honest. Wasn't super sold on it back then. Still not super sold on it. Maybe something big has happened that means I should take a second look, but meh. How do we see here? Do you think Bitcoin will implement Mimblewimble, and if so, would it still work on the Lightning Network? Not sure about the second part of that question, nor am I really sure about the first part of that question, because will Bitcoin implement Mimblewimble? Hard to say. I think that'd be incredibly contentious as an upgrade to bring in privacy features like that. So really hard to say. I think that would be, very contentious indeed. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I think that's a really big conversation that'll have to be had in terms of actually bringing something like, look at what kind of a conversation it was just to get the block size, right? To talk about block size. That split the community big time. So I'm not sure that Bitcoin needs to do that. I know Litecoin is exploring the possibility of doing it right now. If we do see Mimblewimble or something similar coming to Bitcoin at any point, we're talking a long time. That might be a few years down the road, if ever. So, any news about Nexus? Well, I like the new Nexus Tritium wallet. That is a very hot wallet, and it's much, much nicer than the old wallet. That thing was a mess. Lark, you should run a stake pool when it becomes possible. I'll consider it. I'll consider it for sure, guys. Rama, did you buy Digitex futures? No, I did not. You know, Digitex futures. Grr. You know, I wish I'd bought Digitex futures back when I first started looking at it. And then later on when I looked at it again. And then later on when I looked at it again. And I'll probably think the same thing in like a month. Like, why didn't you buy it last month, Lark? But I don't know. I never pulled the trigger on it. Part of it was just me not really wanting to go and open up another exchange account. But yeah, I think Digitex Future is going to do well, though, to be honest. Even now, I mean, I could look at that and you do the numbers. There's 1.3 million people waiting to sign up for the exchange when it launches. I mean, that's pretty substantial. And every future contract is going to be done in DGTX. So there you go. BBR sales, KuCoin shares. Meh, I thought about it. You know, just it really depends so much on KuCoin actually becoming big, like Binance big. Because if you buy it now, and when I was looking at it, there was the run up because of the IEO happening, and I was doing the numbers with the calculator and stuff like that, and I was just thinking, I don't know. KuCoin shares already got enough other stuff going on, so whatever. You know, I got enough. And actually, I saw that Nexus came out, and so I kind of threw some money into that, and I just thought, nah, I'm not going to put it into KuCoin. Not now, anyway. So KuCoin's really got to work on that volume issue. Keanu, man, what's going on? What's going on, Keanu? Great to see you on the chat, man. It was, you know, I think about sometimes about coming over to San Francisco and hanging out. That was a great time. Great time. It was great to meet you guys over there. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun for sure. Crypto Lark, stock or crypto? Where should I put my money in for the next 10 years? Says D-Wave. Well, that's an incredibly complex question, and I'm not a financial advisor, so you know, hard for me to answer that. But I would say this as kind of a general idea here. Crypto, I think, has a lot more room to grow versus the stock market. That's not to say that there's not great stocks within the stock market that have amazing potential to grow too, and amazing potential to give returns back to investors, et cetera, but my money's in crypto. There are a few stocks that I've looked at and thought, maybe, but my money's in crypto. Melek Plays, no expire. You did interview them, ... I interview a lot of people. I review a lot of stuff. I don't hold most of the things that I talk about or review or any of these things. It's my channel is focused on providing updates on different things from around the crypto sphere. So I'll interview projects if I think they're good projects, like Expire. When I looked at them, I was like, yeah, that's a good project. Let's talk with these guys, see what they're doing. And I never bought it. Had a lot back then, and I've been cutting the portfolio down ever since then. So again, if I don't hold your coin, it doesn't mean that it's a bad project. It just means that I didn't invest in it. So, you know, you guys have your own choices to make in terms of what you see has value or not, right? Just because I don't hold it doesn't mean that it's inherently bad. Sometimes they are inherently bad, but I think Expire is a fine project. Last time I checked in anyway. So I don't know what they're up to these days, but I assume that considering they're a very serious company, that they're probably doing other things. So, do you think when Cardano releases their roadmap at IOHK Summit, it will have a large influence on the price? Asks Harry. Well, I don't think it'll have a big influence on the price. I mean, we might see some temporary action, but if you're talking like, is it going to double the value of Cardano or something overnight? No, I don't see that happening. Maybe up by 10%. Well, I'd more suspect it'll go down by 10% because people will be expecting something really, really big from the roadmap, and then it'll be good, but it won't be like, we're going to change the world tomorrow. It won't be quite like that. So, you know, something to keep in mind there. But For me, I just look at it as I'm dollar cost averaging into Cardano over time. So, is any big thing going to double the price? Nah. But it might cause some temporary little price action. But I think the overall, what we're going to see really with the IOHK Summit is just really getting good information coming through in terms of where Cardano's going to be going. And I'm really excited to see that. I'm really excited to see what Cardano's got in store for us for the rest of the year and what we can expect from them. And obviously, we all want to see staking coming because that's going to start coming through. And so that's what I'm looking forward to from them. So stupid eat profit. BitConnect is not dead. I think somebody still buy. There's like still an exchange somewhere where BitConnect's traded, which is insane. How's that possible? Deep Brain Chain, no thoughts on it. Haven't looked at it in a very long time. Sorry. Icon has an amazing roadmap. Icon, I think, is going to do some pretty good things. I know they've been kind of under the radar, and 2018 was a really rough year for them in terms of not I guess, really meeting all the things they want to do, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah. But I'm still holding my Icon. I still think it's got really great potential moving forward. So I'm happy to be holding my Icon. I even thought about adding more to it recently, but thought, if I'm going to be adding to anything else right now, it's going to be, the 4 or 5 coins I've written here on my list. Like, those are the ones I'm not going to stray out. My Icon bag's good. It's heavy. It's been there for a while, but I'm chilling on it. Explore Crypto. Why don't you speak about the Lightning Network? Don't you like it? I speak about it from time to time. I'd mention it in my Bitcoin news videos and stuff like that, and it's still young tech, It's the Lightning Network. It's cool. It's fine by me. Fine by me without a doubt. So it's, if I don't talk about something all the time, doesn't mean that I have some kind of disdain for it or anything like that. It's just that there's so many things to talk about all the time, guys. It's crazy. Are there any benefits to Bitcoin futures? Well, it depends on the kind of futures contracts, Atiba, because the cash-settled Bitcoin futures contracts, meh. But in terms of the Bitcoin-settled futures contracts, and that's what Bakkt is trying to do, those will be much more important because that's actually physically settled in Bitcoin. That totally changes the dynamic versus cash settled Bitcoin futures. The question is, of course, whether the CFTC is going to let them get through. That's the big thing, I suppose. D-Wave asks, what are your top 10 holdings and their percentages? Well, I just went through that a few minutes ago back in the chat. I don't know if you've just come in or not, but I will do a more detailed video of my portfolio at some point here in the near future, so keep an eye out for that. Aren't Binance platforms launches all dogs? Well, if you mean dogs as in like, nice dogs, maybe. Now, I don't know, man. I honestly, I've seen a lot of what Binance has brought out are good projects. So I think that Binance has been getting a lot of unnecessary FUD, particularly around the platform launches and stuff like this, the IEOs and all these things. But honestly, I think that there's been some good projects that have gone through already on Binance's IEO platform, and I think we'll see more good projects coming through in the future. So I don't know what you say when you're saying that they're dogs, because I don't agree with that at all. Some of them will be good, some of them won't be good. It's the ICO game in general. So thoughts on Everex? I did think about Everex earlier today because I saw there was something about like Myanmar and Thailand and banking relationships and stuff, and I didn't have a chance to click on the article, but I looked at it and I thought, I wonder if Everex is involved in that. So don't know. But honestly, I haven't looked at Everex in a long time either. And that's going to be my answer to a lot of your, what do you think about this random coin, guys? Because I only have so many hours in the day, and I try and keep really up to date on what's going on in the crypto market. But it's definitely tricky, guys. There's thousands of projects, so much news, etc., etc., etc. Can you look at how to? You will use it. Meh. Another more social media, right? Gosh, so many social media already. It's nuts. I don't want any more social media. I have enough social media accounts, guys. Yeah. Is 100 random coins enough? Make it 1,000 random coins. Manpreet, do you think Neo is a Chinese hustle? Well, look, this term Chinese hustle gets thrown around in realistically a fairly racist sense, and I'm sure you don't mean it in that, but the reality is that this term, the Chinese hustle, what's that actually mean? I mean, most blockchain developers are based in China, and it's kind of funny, of course, considering that, well, maybe not most, but certainly a massive amount of blockchain developers are based in China, and a lot of blockchain projects are being developed in China. So there's that to consider. And then you also need to consider, this is something that I just think is not considered nearly enough in the crypto space, because to be honest, not everyone's going to succeed. I'm not saying that about Neo. I'm not. But what I'm saying is that we expect that every project is going to go up forever. We expect that every project is going to be able to attract all the developers to them. We expect that every project is going to be able to do this and that and the other thing. And when they don't, then we start saying, yeah, but it was a scam or a hustle or all these different things. But the reality is that sometimes the marketing's off, the communication's off, the tech didn't deliver in time, somebody came out with something better than them, all this stuff, right? So this term, the Chinese hustle, it's something that's easy to say and fun to throw around and makes you think there's some kind of weird scamming conspiracy going on, but the reality is that some businesses just don't succeed in the long run, and that's going to happen with crypto too. That doesn't mean the blockchain network's just going to magically stop working. It just means that they're not going to get the business, they're not going to be the top coin. And again, I'm not saying that's necessarily going to be about Neo. I need to actually do a proper Neo review. It's on the short list here. It's on the short list, guys. I'm working on a Elastos and EOS at the moment, but it's coming. It's coming. Have you been following IOST? I have not been following IOST, but I actually did open the website and was looking around a little bit earlier, but yeah, have not been following it at all, really, to be honest. So I like turtles. It's the best comment yet. Turtles are great. Great rule, guys. Navin, that great comment, Navin. I totally agree with that. He said the crypto space is moving so fast. The best projects today can be potentially old news tomorrow. Amen to that. Amen to that. It's a highly competitive space, and we're moving so fast. And if you can't keep up, if you lose your community, and this is something I've seen a lot of crypto projects do, and they just, especially in 2018, was hard. It's tough. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And the markets were tough, and the community was freaking out, and some people lost their community, or a good portion of their community during that time. And once you lose that community, it's really hard to get them back. I know some of these blockchains, they don't really give a crap about the community, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in that their focus is on getting developers and on getting businesses to come on board. They don't really care about the token investor. I mean, not in a massive way, right? And that's unfortunate. But, such are things. Peter said, Charles Hoskinson didn't have anything good to say about EOS last night on Yvonne on Tech. I'm not surprised. I mean, you have to think that Charles and Vitalik and Dan Larimer, and they're all, competitors against each other. So there's that. You got to take it all with a slight grain of salt, Keanu says, we get so caught up in the price of things. I know I do. Yeah, we all do. It's inevitable when you're investing in these things. He says, but whatever happens with the price next week or year truly doesn't matter in the big picture. Bitcoin is a powerful step forward for humanity. Amen to that, Keanu. That's just, it's so true. It's so true. It's what we're building here. We get focused on the wrong things, and we fall into the wrong paradigms in the crypto community in terms of, saying this guy and that guy and blah, 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 blah. And really, we have to look at the big picture here, because what crypto is doing is amazing. The potential for it is amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So we're early. It's big. And I'm super excited to be here with all you guys, honestly, at this point. Because look at the potential, the investment potential right now. We saw what big, honestly, 20,000. We're going to look back on 20,000 and just go, really? Really? You guys thought 20,000 was big at some point? It'll happen one of these days. We're going to see the 100,000 or the $200,000 Bitcoin. And the thing why I talk about Bitcoin a lot, because Bitcoin right now is the market leader. If that changes at some point, I'll probably talk about other coin more. But the reality is Bitcoin leads the markets. And Bitcoin is an indicator for the entire crypto industry as a whole, because it has the most brand awareness, it has the most infrastructure built around it, it has the most regulatory status, etc., etc., etc. BBR Sales says everyone should hodl at least one Bitcoin. It's pretty gosh darn good advice when it comes down to it. And you think about that. You know, it starts everything. Everything flows down from that. And somebody asked, well, like, what do you think about Ethereum? I love Ethereum. Ethereum is one of my biggest holdings, you know. And but everyone, to an extent, rides off of the back of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's there paving the way in terms of regulations and stuff like that. And then the other big ones start doing it. You know, Ethereum's working on that kind of stuff. Binance is working on that kind of stuff. You know, Cardano is working on that kind of stuff in terms of working with regulators and all these different things. But yeah, definitely something to think about. This is a good one. Joe knows cryptos. Any thoughts on the remaining Mt. Gox disbursement? That could be the wild card. That could really, depending on what people do with that crypto when they get it. You think that when the Mt. Gox hack happened back in the day, I mean, Bitcoin was very cheap compared to where it is right now. And so if those people start getting their crypto back, could be very, very tumultuous times for the market indeed. If people start, you know, just market selling giant amounts of Bitcoin. So we'll have to see. It's definitely a wild card situation out there, though. Keep hearing about fiat failure. What will we cash out to when we are ready? Praxis Media Group, thanks for the contribution, by the way. When we're ready, you won't need to cash out. No, seriously, but we actually need Bitcoin to become a unit of account. And in terms of Bitcoin becoming a unit of account, oh man, we're so far away from that happening. You look at the adoption curve and where we're heading, we're a long way away from that. At some point, though, we could see Bitcoin as a unit of account. If we saw Bitcoin as a unit of account, that would be massive. And obviously, what we have right now with the fiat system, the debt system, oh, it's so broken. It's so broken. It's absolutely crazy. Man, I mean, what, 22 trillion plus in debt in the United States, and that's just one country, and that's just the federal debt. We're not talking about the debt that the companies have, the debt that individuals have, or other countries. The UK is in debt, France is in debt. There's actually very few nations that are creditor nations. China, Russia, they're the ones giving the loans out. And there's the fiat thing. It just doesn't work on the long term. You can't just keep printing money forever and ever and ever. And I know that the powers that be think they can keep printing money forever, but at some point it will just come down. So, not to say that's going to be an immediate, like, the world's ending kind of thing. It might be just a slow, bitter, kind of burning situation, but I think that when the time comes, and this might not even happen in our lifetimes, but when the time does come, we will see the standard of cryptocurrencies as rare money being more standardized. So we may actually be cashing out to crypto. I mean, you can think of it like this. You know, we all think that we live in a society where this can't happen to us, right? My government's good. My government makes responsible decisions. My currency is strong. But in particular, when it comes down to the US dollar, it is being challenged all the time on multiple fronts. The petrodollar status, the US is actually pushing people away from the petrodollar, and it's a very dangerous game to be playing for the global economy, because if people stop really using the US dollar for particularly these oil trades that are going on for international commerce, it's going to be very problematic. China is launching a competitor to SWIFT right now. Russia's joined it. That was news last week. We see what's going on with sanctions regimes around the world. And Germany was exploring launching their own kind of SWIFT network. We're looking at potential crypto trading in gold, or not in gold, in crypto. Oil being traded for crypto at some point, because it gets around the sanctions regimes. And some of the world's largest oil producers are the victims of the sanctions regimes. And it's this big political game being played, guys. And at some point, that political game will come to a head as countries are forced to move away and opposite poles start to come up. It'll be very problematic. And so we feel that we're in this safety bubble of our fiat currency, but you can look at Ukraine. They thought they were chilling when it was 8 hryvnia to $1, and then all of a sudden political turmoil happened. You can look at Russia. They thought they were chilling, and then Saudi Arabia started playing their, Game of Thrones-like international politics game, driving the price of oil down. And the Russian economy suffered big time. The Argentinian peso, that was big. And so if you can look at maybe like Venezuela or Zimbabwe, great example, right? Imagine buying, 1 Bitcoin in Venezuela 2 years ago. And let's say, just as an example, it was 10,000 bolivars back then. Well, that 10,000 bolivars that you spent to buy that 1 Bitcoin back in the day is worth probably like 50 billion bolivars now because of inflation. And that same inflation can happen with other currencies. And just because we feel safe here in New Zealand or in Australia or wherever, history is full of paper money devaluing massively. Just because some are more important than others doesn't mean that they're not also potentially victims to the tides of history. So anyway, there's that. We did have a super chat up here. Let me go back and check that. What do you think about Bitcoin becoming a reserve currency? So I guess it's kind of a follow-up to what we're talking about, but Bitcoin becoming a reserve currency, and thank you very much for the contribution, by the way. Bitcoin becoming a reserve currency, I honestly think countries are going to, if countries aren't doing it yet, and look, there's some countries that do. I know, was it Romania? They have like 200,000 some Bitcoin from back in the day. It's a big story about, they got some drug dealer, it was hackers, wasn't it? They got hackers. Anyway, that's a different story. But in terms of countries taking their money, going to an OTC desk and saying, hey, I need to buy 100,000 Bitcoin, that's going to start happening at some point. And when it does start happening, then it starts country FOMO, because if Russia buys 100,000 Bitcoin, then Germany is going to go, oh man, we should get some Bitcoin too. Let's get 50,000 Bitcoin, guys. And then France is going to go, but we need the Bitcoin. And then they'll get some Bitcoin. And then Canada will do it. And then New Zealand will do it. And then everybody will start actually having this little bit of Bitcoin out there. So I can definitely see it becoming a reserve style currency at some point anyway. Russia and China buying up gold. Yeah, that means, honestly, that at some point I can see countries like Russia. I mean, China's got this public stance being all anti-crypto and stuff, but I would not be surprised if in like the background they got, they're buying up some Bitcoin as well. Wouldn't be surprised. Anyway. Only trust is Bitcoin, Crypto Messiah. Hisham. Yeah, reminder, guys, hit that like button real quick. Just takes a second of your time. Go down there, click that like button. Helps these videos get seen by the people watching around the interwebs anyway. How will cryptocurrencies ever be considered as a currency or means of payment if they are taxed as properties in countries like the US? Asked Dario. Well, Dario, the reality is the regulations need to advance, and there's been people who've been trying to advance regulations. They haven't succeeded yet, but they will. And look, different countries, different things. The US has we see that in a lot of countries, but essentially in the US, when you go to buy a coffee in Bitcoin, well, if you've made 20% profit on that Bitcoin that you bought last week and now you're buying coffee with it, you have to pay tax on that 20%. It becomes a bit nightmarish in terms of trying to get all of that stuff happening. But yeah, that the regulations need to advance, and they will. They are in some places. Some countries are definitely better than others when it comes down to it. So that's something you need to keep in mind. And we're still so early, guys. This is something to keep in mind too. We're super, super early when it comes down to it. Because if you think about the whole crypto economy, it's what, $180 billion or something like that today. Let's just have a quick look here at the old, $182 billion market cap at the moment. I mean, that's tiny stuff. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but compare it to countries, compare it to the stock markets, compare it to the derivatives markets and all these things. We're still early days. We're still playing a small game here. When we start getting into the big leagues in terms of overall market value, then we're in for something different. So Briggs says regulation is anti-freedom. Yeah, we'd be a lot better off without the regulation, Briggs, in terms of, like financial regulations, right? But they're there, and right now the regulations that we have say that people need to pay taxes when, they go out and purchase something in the U.S. using Bitcoin. And I would rather have regulations that say, hey, you don't need to do that, because better good regulations than bad regulations. And some kind of regulation is always going to be happening in society. So there's also that too. When will major crypto adoption kick in? Someday, maybe. One of these days. Regulations are in place to keep the poor poor. Yep. I think a lot of regulations come down to that. And you can actually see that there's, I think we dislike regulations because most regulations are existing to keep the rich and the poor poor, right? Keep like the accredited investor thing. Like, come on, man, accredited investor, really? Just because you're rich, you can, invest in things that other people can't? Like, what kind of BS is that? But that's a regulation that was made. So that means that if you just inherited $1 million from, you spent your whole life getting drunk and high and you just inherited $1 million from your dad, well, you can now invest in things that other people can't because you're an accredited investor. Or if you won the lottery, well, all of a sudden you become an accredited investor. It doesn't mean that you're somehow magically smarter than the guy sitting next to you who's been studying the markets nonstop for the past 5 years, but only has $20,000 in his bank account, for example. I guess he hasn't been studying very hard if he only has $20,000 in the bank account, but you guys get the point. At the same time, if we can have positive regulations, I will welcome those, because you got to work within the bounds of reality sometimes too, unfortunately. Capitalism is a cancer. Some say, earlier in the chat, socialism is a cancer. Ooh, we could get into a deep topic there. I think I'm going to just, go around that one for the moment, guys. But I think that honestly, there's this paradigm of, much like when we think about centralization and decentralization, right? It's either centralized or it's decentralized, and that's just not true. Because in anything you talk about, there is a scale of being centralized or decentralized. And the same thing comes with capitalism and socialism. There is no 100% capitalist country, and there is no 100% socialist country that I can think of that exists in the world right now. So if you can think of a 100% capitalist country or a 100% socialist country, place it down in the chat there. But the reality is that we're all on some kind of scale of in between, of kind of socialist or kind of capitalist. And, but the paradigm, when you bring it up and say, oh, I'm for capitalism, I'm for socialism, right? North Korea, I would not say that North Korea is really a socialist country. It's more of an authoritarian dictatorship. So there's that. I don't know enough about the exact inner workings of their economy, but it seems like it's a, definitely a case of, Cuba, yeah, Cuba, a socialist country. There you go. But Cuba's actually, again, Cuba's moving towards a more free market model right now. Cuba's part capitalist. It may be like 85% socialist and 15% capitalist right now, but it's not 100%, you know, because they've opened up in the past years. Maybe 10 years ago, we could think about Cuba as being potentially the only example of a 100% socialist country, but there you go. But the thing I really want to focus on here, guys, is don't fall into that paradigm of thinking good versus evil. This is good, that's bad, right? And because it's always so much more complex and nuanced than that. And it's really easy to say that, well, you know, they're socialists because they're bad. Well, how socialist are they? What percentage of socialism do we find disagreeable, right? Because reality is that there's some kind of socialist policy in every society, right? Libertarianism is the answer. There's a lot of different ways that we can do our society. Venezuela is a perfect socialist country. I wouldn't say that Venezuela's a completely socialist country either. I know everyone likes to say in the media Venezuela is a socialist country, but I mean, last I checked, there's a whole lot of capitalism going on inside of Venezuela. So there you go. This is the thing, is it's really easy to say, well, it failed because of socialist policies. But you can also say it failed because of external aggression. You can also say it failed because of an incompetent government, not because of socialist policies, right? And so it's like I said, guys, there's no pure version of either. So to say that there's a pure version of either doesn't really make sense because it doesn't exist. There's well-managed countries and there's not well-managed countries. You could look at any of the Scandinavian countries and their social underlyings with capitalist tendencies. So Michael, I like it. It's a giant circle. On the one side, you're a capitalist, but if you go around the circle too far, you end up on the left and you're a socialist. Yeah, I like the answers here, guys. I'm not gonna read them all out, but I see quite a few of those coming through, and yeah, there's some pretty good stuff there, guys. Capitalism will always breed innovation. Crony capitalism will destroy as quick as, if not quicker than socialism. Governments cannot be the solution and the problem. Yeah, I think this is one of the things we really have to come back here to, guys, is the idea of managing societies. Managing societies. We've all been sold on the false paradigm that's either capitalism or socialism, right? When again, we don't have a pure version of either. When actually the real problem we come back to, it's not socialism, it's not capitalism, it's human greed, it's governments, and we're reaching a point where we're seeing the power of governments is being massively degraded by this, what we're doing right now, the ability of people to connect across the world, the ability of people to send money across the world without needing to ask the permission of governments all the time. The role of government will move down and down and down over time, and that we can thank cryptocurrency for. Anyway, that's all we have to say about that for now. Crypto Don Juan, thank you so much for the contribution, man. We were talking about Digitex futures earlier. I don't know if you were here or not, but we were mentioning it a bit earlier on in the game. Free exchange of ideas is paramount. Amen to that. Amen to that. It's all about freedom. Yeah, it's always the question of what's going to deliver the most freedom, right? It's kind of more the utilitarian argument of what actually makes us freer in the end of the day. That's maybe the lens we can look through in a lot of questions. Peter Pan, last question for the day. What is your view on the future of AI and blockchain? The future of AI and blockchain. Well, I think that there's going to be a lot of, to be honest, we're going to see a lot of, I guess, synergies between the two of those, because, you know, what like Singularity enough to do an AI marketplace, which is cool, but in terms of actual decisions being made by the AI to park your car, for example, right? You'll have a car that has an AI in it that drives itself and parks itself and picks up people and, you know, acts as like your Uber driver while you're at work, making money for you and stuff like that. And it's going to charge itself up on a charger and stuff like that. And all that stuff will be handled by an AI that's going to make those decisions for you. So blockchain payments, register of account, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of synergy that's going to come together there without a doubt. So definitely cool stuff. Dustin says Charles Hoskinson is on fortune.com. I haven't had a chance to check that out yet, but I definitely want to check that out after our chat here today. So you guys go and check it out too. And see what Charles had to say over there on fortune.com. Anyway, guys, we're going to end our chat there for today. Thank you all so much for coming out to the chat. It's super fun as always, and I'm always honored to get a chance to engage with all you guys like this here in the chat. So sorry I didn't get to all the questions. As always, a lot of questions there, and I really appreciate all the questions. There's a lot of really great questions coming through there, guys. So again, thank you so much for coming through, chatting about crypto with me. It's always a pleasure. Guys, you know what time it is. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.